hell and the devil, how this thing was designed, built, and, renovated over the centuries. This isn't about what's theologically true or false. We're here to understand how ideas work, how they function. What purpose did a fiery, eternal hell and a cosmic supervillain actually serve? Who benefited? And why did these ideas stick around for so long with such a powerful grip? To really get this, you have to rewind the clock, way back. Before all the fire and brimstone, before the pitchforks and pointy tails, you have to imagine a world where the afterlife was kind of boring. The original Hebrew idea of the afterlife was the grave. That's it. A shadowy, quiet, dusty place where everybody, good or bad, saint or sinner, just ended up. No judgment, no punishment, certainly no fire. Now compare that to the eternal torture chamber that we all know from popular culture. The difference is just staggering.
And the devil? Yeah, he wasn't really a thing yet either. Not in the way we think of him. The original term, ha-satan, get this, it wasn't a name. It was a job title. It literally means the accuser or the adversary. Think of him less as a fallen angel king and more like a celestial prosecuting attorney. He worked for God on the divine council, and his job was to test people with permission. He was on God's payroll, not leading a rebellion against him.
If the earliest traditions didn't have a fiery hell or a cosmic supervillain, where on earth did they come from? This brings us to the big turning point. This is where a small, marginalized movement starts to forge the very tools it would need to not just survive, but to one day control an entire empire. And you can see the whole story right here on this timeline. The early Jesus movement, tiny, no central power at all. But then it gets tangled up with the Roman Empire. It gets a taste of real political power. And what does power need? Control. It needs ways to enforce unity, to draw boundaries. So by the time you get to influential thinkers like Augustine, the idea of eternal conscious punishment isn't some fringe theory anymore. It's becoming standard issue doctrine. It's becoming a tool. So how'd they do it? What was in this new toolkit of control? Well, first, you make hell the ultimate threat for social discipline. Step out of line, eternal torment. Then you demonize all the alternatives. Other gods, other ways of thinking. They're not just wrong, they're evil, demonic. This creates a really powerful us versus them mentality. You add in control over who can even read or interpret the holy books, and you top it off by promising justice in the next life to keep people from demanding it in this one. And here's the bottom line, and this is something most historians agree on. The idea of hell didn't give Christianity its power, it was the other way around. Once Christianity got power, it needed a powerful idea to help maintain it. The doctrine was a consequence of power, a feature added to help police the growing number of believers. But the story doesn't stop there, not by a long shot. Fast forward a few centuries, the Reformation comes along, and you might think, okay, maybe things got a little less scary. But no, fear didn't go away. It just changed its address. It moved from being an external threat from a powerful church to being an internal, psychological anxiety inside your own head. You can see the evolution right here. For early Protestantism, without a priest to say you're forgiven, the fear became this constant, nagging question. Am I really saved? Am I good enough? Then you get modern evangelicalism, which really ramps up the anxiety about the end times, the rapture. And in many high-control groups, the fear gets intensely personal. The ultimate threat isn't fire, it's being cut off, shunned by everyone you love, losing your family forever if you dare to question or leave. And what's absolutely wild is how much of this modern fear is built on stuff that's not even really in the Bible. So many things people assume are biblical, the detailed hierarchies of demons, the big war in heavens, Satan as the king of hell. A lot of that is actually medieval fan fiction, basically. It comes from folklore and epic poems that were responding to the anxieties of their own time. So let's just break it down. In the biblical texts, you get a lot of metaphor, symbolism, talk of judgment and justice. But the stuff that really paints the picture for us, the different levels of hell, the devil on a throne, demons with specific torture assignments, that whole bureaucracy of pain, that's largely a later invention, made famous by things like Dante's Inferno. We've seen how this whole architecture was built and renovated, but why is it so effective? Why is fear such a durable, powerful tool for control? It turns out the answer is hardwired right into our brains. From the perspective of an institution that wants to maintain control, the psychological stress these ideas cause isn't some unfortunate side effect. It's the whole point. Fear is a feature, not a bug. Here's how it works, and it's like a neurological one-two punch. First, you're constantly told about hellfire and demons. This puts your amygdala, your brain's little smoke detector, on constant high alert. Step 2, when that alarm is always blaring, it actually shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that does critical thinking and rational analysis. And in that state, high threat, low reason, what does your brain want more than anything? Safety. And the easiest path to safety is to simply obey the authority that's defining the threat in the first place. It's a perfect loop for compliance. We've traced the journey from a silent grave to a fiery inferno, from a heavenly prosecutor to a cosmic king of evil. This whole architecture of fear was built piece by piece over thousands of years. And it leaves us with one last big question to think about. If a belief system absolutely requires fear to keep people in line, what is it that's truly being protected? The believer or the institution itself?